Sylvan Lake has always been a popular tourist destination for Albertans. With only being an hour-and-a-half drive from both Calgary and Edmonton, packing up a beach bag and heading to the lake is a very easy way to spend a summer holiday. Thousands flock to Sylvan Lake every year to enjoy activities such as lounging in the water on an inflatable chair, having a picnic on the beach, water skiing and wakeboarding behind a boat, or catching a giant pike off the town's pier. But Sylvan Lake isn't just for the tourists. Locals like Judy Payne also regularly partake in their favorite lakeside activities.
I love the beach area. I really like swimming on a hot day, so it's a good thing. I like the trails. They've done a lot of work here. It's made it more pedestrian friendly. I came here because of the lake 35 years ago, and that's one of the big draws for me. I love the water. I love the lake.
Unfortunately, a number of lakes in the central Alberta region have been experiencing blue-green algal blooms over the duration of the summer. These algal blooms not only destroy the lake's natural beauty, but also destroy the health and vitality of the lake. Central Albertan lakes such as Pigeon Lake, Pine Lake, and Gull Lake have all had recent algal blooms within the last 5 years. Sylvan is one of the few lakes left in the region that has yet to experience an algal bloom. What exactly causes these algal blooms? Professor Emeritus Dr. David Schindler from the University of Alberta has pinpointed them down to one key nutrient: phosphorus.
Like other lakes in this band across central Alberta, Sylvan is in a very rich geological setting with respect to nutrients. The soils are very high in phosphorus, which is a key element in eutrophication. And when there is high phosphorus with respect to the second most important nutrient, nitrogen, it favors one group of algae, known as blue-green algae. They're actually cyanobacteria. So that makes the lakes predisposed to blue-green algal blooms, and in some of the paleoecology work done on lakes here, we know that there were always blue-green blooms on lakes in this central part of Alberta. But that being said, a lot of things that people have done have caused more nutrients to go in, and they've caused phosphorus to increase much more than nitrogen.
Sylvan Lake has yet to experience an algal bloom due to eutrophication, but if we aren't careful, it could be next. So how are humans increasing Sylvan's phosphorus and nitrogen levels? Sylvan Lake Watershed President Graham Strathdy believes that agriculture plays a key role in eutrophication.
So the main sources are the agricultural nutrient releases from the surrounding slopes in the watershed, particularly two creeks, Northwest Creek at the northwest end of the lake, and Golf Course Creek that runs down the west side of the town of Sylvan Lake.
Croplands and cattle pastures surround the perimeter of the Sylvan Lake watershed. Excess phosphorus and nitrogen are introduced into the lake from fertilizer and cattle waste, especially in the springtime with melting snow from the farmlands draining into the lake. However, agriculture is only one cause of excessive nutrient input. The other source comes from residential land use and development, particularly with lakeside cottages. The leaching of phosphorus from septic tanks and fields contributes to half the amount of phosphorus coming in from residential land. The other half of phosphorus input comes from storm drainage that contains water from fertilized lawns and flower beds. So, at the end of the day, which human activity has the most blame? Agricultural land use or residential land use?
The cottagers like to point at agriculture and agriculture at cottagers and on and on. It's actually both. Depends on the lake which is more important. But we have too much development on lakes, including Sylvan and Gull, and we have too much agriculture in the basins.
The cyanobacteria blooms that result from increased phosphorus can have many detrimental impacts to the lake and the surrounding area. One problem associated with algal blooms is the creation of hypoxic zones within the lake. These hypoxic zones are a direct effect of a change within the lake's trophic cascade. When the large population of cyanobacteria dies, They settle to the bottom of the lake, where they are consumed by decomposers called detritivores. Like many aquatic organisms, detritivores require the oxygen in the water to survive. As the population of cyanobacteria increases, so does the population of detritivores. The detritivore population increase results in a depletion of oxygen in the lake. With no oxygen in the lake, fish ultimately suffocate and die. But residents and tourists are more concerned about the other problem that comes with an algal bloom: cyanotoxins. Cyanotoxins are secondary metabolites produced by a certain species of blue-green algae that can have very harmful effects on humans and pets. They cause a variety of symptoms, including skin rashes, headaches, fever, nausea, diarrhea, and liver failure. There have been numerous reports of pets dying after drinking water from a contaminated lake. Most cyanotoxins degrade after a week or two, but some toxins remain in the water for months or years and are almost impossible to remove. And of course, algal blooms destroy the beauty of a lake. Not only do they turn the water a pea-green color, but the algae also has a strong earthy smell. If an algal bloom were to happen in Sylvan Lake, residents such as Graham would pack up and move.
Well, what it would mean for me is that I wouldn't be here. I just leave. And I'm sure lots of other people would do the same thing. Water quality and the condition of the lake and the experience that people have here are really the critical part of the environment.
As for the town of Sylvan Lake, a town that thrives in the tourism industry, an algal bloom would bring devastating consequences.
Oh, it would wreck tourism. It would definitely have a major impact on the town as far as tourism goes. And property values, this is a high-priced place to live now, and that would definitely change. You'd be living next to a slough.
Is there hope for Sylvan Lake after being predisposed to so much phosphorus? Or have the cool blue waters turned into a ticking time bomb for a cyanobacteria explosion? The answer is yes, there is still hope.
The good news story is that phosphorus is probably the easiest element to control. It's very cheap compared to controlling nitrogen or other nutrients. We can precipitate it from sewage by simply adding iron or aluminum and dealing with the sludge afterward, but at least it's not going into lakes. And we know how to keep it out of street runoff and cut down on lawn fertilization and so forth. Some more enlightened regions are now going to curbless streets where a lot of the nutrient is taken up by lawns along the edge of the streets, as opposed to having curbs which funnel everything that hits the streets down into a storm sewer and from there into the nearest lake or river. So some areas are beginning to develop very good schemes for controlling phosphorus.
The next step to preventing algal blooms includes getting involved with some of the programs that the Sylvan Lake Watershed Society has to offer.
We promote the Living by Water program, and what that does is use the principles of the water cycle, the science of the water cycle, to manage your own property, to make sure that water, when it hits your property, infiltrates into the ground, and that it doesn't run off taking contaminants downhill into the lake. That's the main threat, and the main way that people can help is just be responsible.
Perhaps in the future, a merging of the town of Sylvan Lake with the surrounding counties in order to create common development bylaws would help lessen eutrophication in Sylvan Lake.
I'd really like to see a single municipality around the lake. I know that that's a really bizarre idea, but it would require all the summer villages, the town of Sylvan Lake, the county of Lacombe, county of Red Deer, to lose some of their autonomy about the lake. So even if we could just have one development officer for the watershed, so that all of the bylaws, we could make up bylaws that would protect the lake, they would all have to be followed. That to me would be the ultimate. As a community, there needs to be more.
If we all work together and practice good watershed management, we will be able to keep algal blooms far at bay and enjoy swimming in Sylvan Lake on a hot summer day for many years to come. For more information on how you can get involved with the Sylvan Lake Watershed Society, visit www.slwss.org. For CTV News, I'm Julie Saby.
Yeah, I'd just like to end up by saying that I've written up all of what I just said in a little book, which I've tried to write in language that an intelligent layperson can understand. It's not written in heavy scientific technical jargon. The co-author, Jack Valentine, was my boss working on this same problem when I was a young scientist. And the book can be obtained from the University of Alberta bookstore for somewhere between $30 and $35 if anyone is interested. To give you a good idea of what's causing the problems that are infecting all of our lakes here as population increases and affluence increases in Alberta.